of my favorite passages from the Gospels, and a passage familiar to all of us, is the feeding of the 5,000. We actually read it and preached a bit on it over the summertime, but I'm still reflecting on the power of that story. Obviously, it's easy to come to the conclusion in the story that somehow miraculously, almost magically, Jesus makes enough food from those small pieces of bread and fish to feed this multitude of thousands. And as we hear the story, and I continually study it and think about that story, I remember hearing a lecture a few years ago given by Parker Palmer, who's a Quaker, theologian, writer, does a lot of organizational leadership work, and is, pretty prolific author, I'm sure many of you know. Parker took this passage and really said and suggested that it was a passage about stewardship, about God's abundance in a world where we often think is filled with scarcity. He said that as Jesus and the disciples started to pass out those couple fish and the 5 loaves of bread to the crowd, that the crowd began to search within their own pockets, within their backpacks, if you will. Remember, they'd been there all day listening to him preach. And they start to discover that within the multitude, there is enough food. So what starts out as a gift from Jesus directly to the crowds turns out that the crowd has within themselves the capacity to feed themselves, and that there's actually baskets left over. Can you imagine if we were all sitting around and suddenly we decided we were really hungry, and there were 25 or 30 or 50 of us, and we started digging through our purses or looking in our pockets to find out what we actually have, a candy bar here and a cracker there and some mints over here, and pretty soon there's enough to satisfy the hunger that we are all experiencing. That's stewardship. That's living a life believing there's enough to go around for everyone. But it's about how we share what we've been given for the needs of the whole. How do we let go of the things that we hold dear that your neighbor might actually need? And when we do that, there's this miraculous capacity to have enough. So I hope that you don't just sit back and pray to God to do something for you, but that perhaps God is also praying that you do something, that you reach into your pockets, you share what you have, not just your money, but the gifts of your talents and the gift of your time, the gifts of your heart, your listening ear, the kind words someone might need you to say. And that when we all decide we're going to do that, when we all decide we're going to answer God's prayer, miracles happen. There's enough. Abundance abounds. We're all fed. No one's hungry. And we marvel at the mystery and the power of God's love. We'll see you Sunday.